Yo, how's everyone doing today? Happy Friday for those of you listening on the day of the release. Welcome to the Festy Hub Podcast. I'm your host, Manny, aka Frisky Hug. For today's episode, we will be talking about life after the EDC movie Under the Electric Sky. This will be with my friend Jim, also known as his DJ name Daywalk. He is a Tokyo resident, but during the movie, he came down to Vegas for EDC, and we're going to talk about that whole experience as being casted for the movie and what he's been up to, where has his life led him to. But before we get started with the podcast, I would like to do my 4 shout outs of the week. So this is where I do 4 shout outs, one being for a content creator, second one being to a DJ, third one being to a brand or business, and fourth one being to a supporting friend or follower. So first one's going to be content creator, and it's going to be Emma Kapotes. Emma Kapotes is an amazing YouTuber, content creator all around, honestly. She has 2 podcasts right now. She co-hosts one called Festival Insider, and she has her own, which is Rave Culture Cast. She has been doing really well with her coaching business, coaching a lot of people on how to be content creators themselves, how to make money, how to get their whole business started. She's doing really well for herself. I want to give her a quick shout out because I know she's really proud of what she's accomplished, especially during these COVID times, to be able to get out of your comfort zone, quit your job, and pursue your dreams. It takes a lot of guts. She talks a lot about that in her podcast. So her IG is Emma Kapotes with a K. As a reminder, like I do every week, all of these brands and all of these names and all these people will be on the description below. So if it's in Spotify, it'll be there as well. YouTube, description. And I have everything on SoundCloud. And now I'm on Apple Podcasts. I don't know how to check my Apple Podcast though. So if something's out of order, somebody needs to tell me because I don't know, but so far so good. It looks like all the episodes are kind of in order. But yes, give Emma Kapotes a follow. Go check her stuff out. I promise you won't regret it. Number 2 goes to a DJ. This is going to go to Asmodeus. He is a Colorado local. He has been playing a lot of local shows during COVID, but recently he has been traveling a lot, playing under big names. One of the names being Al Ross. He's been playing with a lot of homies, a lot of good names, and he's really making a name for himself. And you could tell that he is headed towards the right direction when it comes to DJ producing. He's up there, so he will be up and coming very soon. I promise you'll be seeing a lot more flyers with his name on it, so it's better to catch him now while they're young. If you're interested, that IG is Asmodeus_official18. He's also a really good friend of mine. And he's just honestly just an amazing person. Has been since day one. I met him at a drive-in rave. Didn't know he was a DJ. He started pursuing it. I think recently though. I think he was messing around at the beginning. But the more I saw his names, I'm like, okay, you are doing great. Okay, number 3 is gonna go to the brand or business. This one's gonna go to Soul Butterfly Clothing. So Butterfly Clothing is actually it's actually Ashley Gauthier's. I don't know if you guys know her, but she's a YouTuber as well. Ashley Gauthier started this company. It's like a clothing company. And I've been seeing Soul Butterfly Clothing a lot. And if my feed is being filled with Soul Butterfly Clothing, I can tell that it's doing well and is just the beginning. So Ashley, keep on going. You're doing great things with this company. You're going to keep just growing and growing. Your clothes is amazing. I see it everywhere. Big shout out to her company. IG is Soul Butterfly Clothing. Go check it out if you're looking for some apparel. I don't know if she does guy clothes, but I do know that she does female clothes. So go over there, check out that store. Number 4, that's going to go to my friend Sam Cissell. He is from originally Alabama, but he's living in Florida. We met through mutual friends. We actually got stuck in abduction. So we got stuck in Orlando together because of the whole abduction thing that happened with that monsoon or whatever the hell that was. So we got to know each other then, and honestly, we've been just going to festivals ever since then. And honestly, has been very supportive of me, helped me out with my meetups. Is always watching all of my content, giving me feedback, always commenting on my YouTube channels. Definitely very supportive. And I wanted to shout him out so that you guys know how much that means to me. Support means a lot. I couldn't be here without you guys. I couldn't be doing half things that I do without you guys. And my close circle of like supporting followers and friends, you guys are the ones that like, you make me who I am, right? I wouldn't be where I'm at without you guys. So we'll do this for Sam Cissell. IG is Rave Basement. Okay, that was our 4 shout outs of the week. All right. Well, thank you, Jim, for coming into the podcast. I'm really happy to have you on. It's really, really awesome. In case some people don't know, this is Jim. He was one of the cast members for the Under the Electric Sky EDC Las Vegas movie. It was recorded, I believe, 2013. Am I right?
Yep.
And it came out to theaters 2014. It was select theaters, so you had to like request it, and then they had the movie out in YouTube. So I'd like to welcome him to the podcast. Jim, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Sure. Yeah, no, excited to be here. Thanks for the invite. My name's Jim. I'm originally from New York, but I'm currently residing in Tokyo. I think we must have met probably around 2013. So it's been a while, but
2014, I think, we met twice actually. I think it was 2014, 2015.
Right.
Both.
But it's been a minute since we've gotten to reconnect. So I'm excited to chat with you again.
Yeah. So let's see. We're gonna dive into kind of the movie, and we're gonna just get some info out of you. All right. So
sure.
For starters, how did you even get started in like being casted for this movie? Like, how did that even happen?
Yeah. So I think it started. There's a Facebook ad that was just about folks that were going to EDC potentially, and a very vague intro about the movie. So I think we filled out, it was like a Microsoft Word document. And I just kind of figured like most of the people that would be applying would kind of have a similar story, like I'm from Southern California and I love dance music. I was like, okay, how do we separate ourselves a little bit? And I was like, I'm a yuppie. So like,
wait, what's a yuppie?
Like a young urban professional. Just
okay.
Like a generic, like the boring one. Like maybe we can separate ourselves in that regard, like we can be the plain Janes.
Yeah.
That's how I wrote it. It was just very, we're kind of boring and serious. So like that's how we played it. And then I think there was like one quick round of interviews. Another one with
was it like a Zoom interview, or was it like a Zoom?
I think it was probably Skype at that time. It was 2013.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Right.
What was like who conducted the interview? Was it like one of the market coordinators or?
Yeah, I think it might have been the first round. I can't recall. I think it was quick. It was probably just one quick 15-minute interview. The second or third one I do recall was more intense. It was we turned on Skype, and I was like, okay, we should wear these fur hood things.
Wait, for the interview.
For the interview. and like the camera turns on, and it was like a boardroom of people, and they're all just like, what? And we basically surprised them. Like we're wolves now. That must have been a jarring experience for them. But then other than that, just very, marketed ourselves very, plain, professional types.
Yeah.
I figured probably that was a rarer entry, right? So then they sent me like a GoPro camera, and they were like, just film your life.
Wait. So you get into your address, and they just gave you like the newest GoPro they had or whatever, and be like, hey, start recording, or was it like a script?
I sent it back to them. No, They were just like, take B-roll of Japan, just like get all like outdoor footage.
Oh, so it was like an edition type of thing, basically.
Right. Just for the intro. So at the beginning, when they do like, they were able to get B-roll in person of everybody except for us, because we were separate and like not. There's bigger groups that they could just go to Southern California and get like everybody, or go to Texas and get, a person for a day. So then
Oh,
just take the GoPro.
that makes it. Was that the footage with you and Jana where you were like on the couch, you were like Skyping her?
I think so.
Is that part of it?
That was probably
Okay.
GoPro. It was weird walking around like with a GoPro camera in like like Akihabara. Like that was weird. Like this is, I guess, like the beginning days. It didn't feel like that weird. Let me tell you. Walking around with one of those things.
It's funny because they use that footage for the movie, and it goes to show how high quality like GoPros really are. Like GoPros are super high quality. I went to Global Dance Festival in Denver, and I should have read the rules because I'm a know-it-all apparently when it comes to festivals. So I'm like, oh, I know I could bring my GoPro. They turned me around at the festival, and I had to go back like 3 or 4 miles walking back to my car, and
God.
no GoPros allowed. They're considered professional in some festivals now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so like I'm not surprised that they sent you that GoPro, honestly, and the fact that it was used in a movie. But anyways, continue about your story. Sorry for the interruption.
No, that's I guess makes sense. They're definitely professional. But yeah, that was they just gave me that thing, sent it back, and then we went and filmed, I think, in Las Vegas. That was logistically weird, trying to like figure out like flights and stuff and like all of the planning for that. Had never really walked around with like a film crew or something before. That was interesting. There was actually like 12 groups they followed that they cut. So several of them, one of the girls, they were following a group of girls at EDC. They were supposed to be in the movie and they got cut.
What?
Yeah, so I guess they broke the rules.
And, okay. What were the rules?
I mean, not doing any substances of any sort. And there was a group that, from what I understand, actually we met one of there was obviously like 12 groups. We heard one of the groups of girls got like sick or something. So she was just like basically laying in the grass the whole time. And they're like, what? We through here, like that's so disrespectful. That happened. There was another girl who came into, like, we kind of like crossed over with her, and we thought she was going to be in the movie, so they followed us around together. Like we linked kind of with this girl, and she got cut as well. She said a couple things. She cursed a lot, so I think it like a lot.
Oh my God, dude! I could not be in this movie. It's like, I don't know what it is. I can never tell when I'm swearing.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really think about it, but like, I think just being on camera also makes people sort of nervous, and like there's pressure. You've never been in that environment before. It's not just cameras that are looking at you, but strangers are kind of watching. You can't act natural. And
it's like, it's funny. It kind of brings me back to when you were talking about like you were with your GoPro recording yourself. It is such a vlog mentality. And I was in a podcast with the podcast name is Bab's Life, and we were talking about being comfortable literally recording yourself. Vlogging is like something you have to learn how to do. When I first started vlogging a few years ago, it was like I was scared to be at a festival literally recording myself, and now I'm at the point where I'm at the airport recording myself, and I had to think this one thing in my head. It's like, I'm just famous. Like, they don't know me, right? I'm famous. So this is what I do, right? And you have to have that mentality, even if you're not famous. It's like you have to have the mentality that you're gonna make it and you're gonna do something big. Otherwise, you won't make it this far trying to vlog things. Like, it's just not gonna happen. But being in like that mentality of like being followed around, and man, what a culture shock to just be followed around by a camera crew. I mean, you must have felt special though. And it was like, oh, like
definitely awkward. Like, I guess kind of like similar, but I didn't want to get into any like sort of I guess I don't know what even mentality we were in when things were happening. It was just really trying to be normal and like talk the way that you normally would, because you want it to be usable and real, not feel fake or staged or anything. So you're just doing your best to kind of tune everybody out, like whatever works for you in that regard.
I guess you also don't want to be cut though, so it's like you're almost like on edge. It's like, okay, let's not do anything crazy either,
right? You definitely don't want to like curse or like get much of anything, so you want to be on your best behavior, especially for us. I think the expectation, and that's how we sold ourselves, was that we would be the trustworthy ones that like if they need to refilm something, like we're going to be the like, okay, of course, like, yes, like we'll be the easy ones to work with. And I hope we were that, I hope we were easy to work with. I like to think that we were mostly easy. Like they had to re-record a bunch of sound stuff. So we had to go to a sound studio in New York City and just re-record things that we had said that didn't quite get picked up on the microphones. And we would say, I said like stupid things like that I wouldn't have written down. I think I remember I had to keep repeating the phrase like 3 days of this, 3 days.
I remember that exact phrase.
That's so dumb. Like I wish I didn't say that. But like we had to go to a sound studio and like record.
Did they give you a lapel mic? Did they give you a lapel mic? Like
and I think there was booms too.
Oh, booms. Okay.
Both, I think.
I could see why lapel mic wouldn't have been used because it's like it sometimes rubs and then it creates that staticky noise when you rub on it. But I mean, I would have done like a lapel mic. Yeah. Oh, okay. Both. Yeah. I mean, they did a good job because I mean, you sounded pretty clear when you said 3 days of this. I remember that exact phrase.
Yeah, no, it's weird. Like I remember, I definitely remember the other mics as well because I remember like if I wanted to like whisper something, I was like, I can't. Like you can't talk. Like
did the like camera crew and everyone like that follow you all the way back to the hotel? Like, or when did it? So
we became really close with one of the camera people. Yeah, actually several of them. One of them moved to New York and just was like our close friend for like years.
Holy shit!
So he was a great guy. There's just, I mean, that everyone in the crew was super nice. One of them, I remember we were at a comedy club, and it was the like week after it premiered in Sundance, and I was standing in line, and what's the guy's name? Okay, so yes, I remember. So I was standing in line, and I didn't recognize him at the time, but Ben Schwartz, he was on Parks and Rec. He does the voice of Sonic. He wasn't that
no way.
He wasn't that famous then. He's like, hey. Yeah. He looked at me. He's like, "You're the kid from the dance movie." And I was like, "Oh, hey, man." And then, like, I didn't recognize him. And then the guy behind me, he's like, "Are you a fucking idiot? Like, are you a dumb guy?" And I was like, "Probably." Well, yeah, clearly. What did I just do? Yeah. And he's like, "That was like Ben Schwartz. Like, are you kidding?" And I was like, "Who's Ben Schwartz?" And now I'm like, "Oh, I'm so dumb." His manager's wife is his manager's husband is the wife of the COO or the former COO of Insomniac, who's in the movie.
Wow. Yeah.
So he, I guess, brought his wife, who then brought Ben, who is this new up and coming actor, to go see the show. And that's a big regret. That'll go down in the book of fails.
No, it's
pretty funny.
That's actually pretty funny though. But yeah, you mentioned comedy. Weren't you at one point doing comedy? Like, was it just for fun at your university or? Oh, still no.
We're still doing it. So we
okay.
Yeah, we can get into this too because I'm in Japan now, but
we're gonna get into all of it. This is the book of Jim. Okay.
Gotcha. Yep. Yeah. So we're the only bilingual improv group in Asia. So actually, maybe not the only one anymore. 10 years ago we were. But we're definitely the only one in Japan. So we perform in Japanese and English, which is really fun. I've been doing it for 11 years. That comedy club is where I took improv school. It's called UCB. It's no longer in New York, but it's basically like where a lot of the cast members from Saturday Night Live start. A lot of, folks from shows that you know and love. A lot of them started in UCB.
Shit, man. So you mentioned you're bilingual. So when did you pick this up? Like, how long have you been able to speak Japanese? Like, do you write pretty well too? I've tried to pick up like certain like different languages, but like Japanese was one of the ones I try to pick up and stuff. But I guess it gets a little hard because you, like I said, I don't live in Japan. You live in Japan, so I'm sure you eat, breathe, and like sleep everything in Japan, right? So
yeah, I mean, I would say like it's. Like every year, Japan, or Tokyo in particular, becomes more of like an international city that you need Japanese less and less. When I first came 16 years ago, I think there was less signs that were in English. There was no Olympics that they were ramping up, English capability for. But I was lucky to start it when I was young. I think a lot of languages, like when your brain is in that map.
Yeah. How young were you?
14.
And how old are you now?
31.
31.
Yeah.
Hey,
I still
twins.
Yeah.
When's your birthday? When's your birthday?
January 29th.
Oh man. Okay. So yeah, you're older. I'm in July. So
nice.
Okay, so you were 13 when you started speaking or learning Japanese, and that was like influenced by your parents, or was this because you're watching anime and you were like, bet, let's
Oh, definitely the nerd route, bro. That was 100% the nerd one. It was Cowboy Bebop. Goku ruined me. All of them.
No dubs for me.
Toonami block. Remember Tom from Toonami? The robot man?
Yep.
What happened to him? But he was the one who probably ruined a generation of young American kids.
I mean, I honestly like Toonami for me was something that I just watched on like cable, and like ever since this whole like generation of Netflix and Hulu and Crunchyroll, I haven't seen that robot dude. So
yeah, I think he's back though. That little guy, he definitely. I mean, now when we like living in Asia, especially like K-pop is the thing. Korea is the cool kid. Japan less so than it used to be.
I was when I first started vlogging, I decided to make it about EDM. I was just doing Instagram on EDM, uploading all my videos there, and I said I was going to do a YouTube channel. I'm like, hey, I need to do YouTube. Like, this is like the route I need to be taking. This one chick goes, dude, if you're going to do YouTube, you got to do reviews of K-pop. She's like, it is bumping right now. It's the thing. It's going to keep blowing up. And I'm like, is it though? And would I be interested in reviewing K-pop videos every time? I don't know. I don't know if I'm not like
pretty good. I mean, I'm not like huge fan, but like watching those videos, they're everywhere here. Like you go to restaurants, they're playing K-pop videos. The budgets are insane.
Yeah.
The best explanation I've heard for K-pop is not to think of it as Korean pop, but as like kaleidoscopic, because they bring in like so many different genres and production styles. The dancing is on point. Like they literally train their entire lives to become this thing. So like you have to give it to them. Like they really worked hard to become these, BTS, like them or not, like they're pretty talented dancers and singers. I'm not a fan of theirs, but I can wildly respect.
They're wildly respected around the world. Like everyone knows them. So, I mean, that takes a lot to be known. It's funny because you said like, we say K-pop, but for them, is it just regular pop?
I guess. Yeah. I mean, it's cool to see them blow up like this little country with, 50 million people, to get all that love is a really cool thing for, well-deserved.
Yeah. So you mentioned, we're talking about like anime and stuff. You still watch anime? Do you read the mangas? Is it manga or manga? I don't know.
Manga. Yeah,
manga.
You had it. Yeah. Not so much anymore. I mean, that like from when we were kids, that was definitely the thing. Then Japanese music was really, the second wave for me. My dream when I was a kid, when I first wanted to move to Japan, was to start an indie record label in Japan. Really love like the whole music scene here is honestly where I spend most of my weekends, whether it's rock festivals, a lot of electronic festivals. There is a really great techno scene in Japan, which is pretty much where I'm at every weekend these days. And that's really cool. I mean, the independent Japanese music scene is brighter than ever. So that's another reason to visit Japan. So
when did you start living in Japan? Is that something that you did as a kid? Like I guess let's talk about like where your parents are from. How did you how's that all working out?
Yeah. So I first came when I was maybe 14. Parents had no understanding of Japan. Okay. They to be fair, they still don't, but they're like, okay, my kid's happy. Like that's,
so you wanted to go to Japan and you're like, hey, if I could go somewhere right now, I want to do Japan. Oh, okay.
And I mean, I was always studying it. Like I knew when I was 12 that this is where I was going to end up, so this was always the trajectory that I was always going to be on. And it's like nice to know that like the dream that I had when I was a 12-year-old is like, I'm currently doing the thing.
Mm-hmm. And then so you landed a job after, okay, I guess, what did you originally go to school and where did you go to high school? You went to high school still in New York, right?
Yep.
And then did you move immediately to Japan once you got a job offer, or how did that work?
After college, my first job was in Japan. So it's like a bigger tech.
Yeah, because in the movie you mentioned it was some like computer tech company that you were working for, right?
Yeah.
And how long?
eBay.
Oh, okay. How long were you working in Japan at that time?
That not long, about a year or so, and then I moved back to the States for a couple of years. Went back to school, and then after graduation, moved back here, and still in tech. But been here for now 3 years, I want to say. 3. I think my Japan anniversary is June 2018. June 1, 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. New Japan anniversary.
I mean, okay. Let's jump back to the movie again, and let's talk about day one of the movie. I believe you wore, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm probably wrong, because I think when I first met you, you said it wasn't that outfit. Was it a Batman outfit you were wearing?
Oh yeah. So it was like a superhero thing. It was such a weird, it like clearly was. It looked just like Batman. We were just trying to do something that was like unbranded superhero,
Yeah.
that wouldn't have been a copyright infringement.
Oh, okay. I got what you're saying. Yeah, because it looked very similar, and I was like, but like it wasn't technically, I guess, a Batman outfit. It was like parts of a Batman outfit, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it was like hockey gear that we like painted. Then I got this like LED blue, like I guess this kind of looked like Iron Man too, but it was like a circular.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Thing, and then like cut out from I don't know what you would call it, like this piece of neon glow in the dark plastic that went over it, with just like letters, and then like a different sort. I get the mask looked a little bit Batman-y, but it just covered the top half of my face.
The mask looked pretty cool though. I'll admit. Yeah,
that was
cool.
fun. And then like platform boots, which were purchased from a goth store in New York City that no longer exists, but was amazing. There's like the biggest costume shop, if people know it. It was up until COVID. And
so listeners that are listening right now, and he's talking about like platform boots. For those of you that don't know, me and Jim are actually very short. So platform boots make us look pretty good. Yeah.
Normalized platform boots, y'all.
You think? Yeah. So that's super awesome. I've always wanted to wear like an outfit with like platform boots, but they're so expensive.
Or you just do something in the 70s. I feel like guys in the 70s were all about that.
True. You could do like one of those like water fish tank boots or whatever.
Yeah.
Those are pretty popping and stuff. What was ex-girlfriend Jenna? What was she wearing?
I think like a white like leotard, if I recall. Like sort of like a gymnast outfit.
Okay, she's just like, was it something that she did? Did she do the gymnastics, or she just get it like she got it like Goodwill? That's what I'd shop if I need.
Probably made herself, probably. Not sure, but
So you and Jenna aren't together anymore. Was that like mutual? Was that like bad? Was it just like it's just like there's no way that's gonna happen? She's in New York, you're in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, it was in school, about halfway through, just went our separate ways.
Yeah,
I hope she's doing well. Ended up being, I think, good for both of us. Her finishing med school.
Yeah.
Me moving back to Japan. This was, my dream, and it's always hard when you can't, and that when your dreams are not compatible with another person.
100%, dude. It's just sometimes it's just not meant to be, and it's like. You can't also chase one other person's dreams when you have your own, sometimes you got to just focus on yourself. Do you guys still keep up with each other? You guys ever talk? It was just one of those things like, oh, it's in the past. I know that I talked to a couple of my exes. Cause like when I don't know, I think when like we live in like good terms and it's like, it is what it is. It's like, you still like talk every like couple of years.
Yeah. I haven't in a while, but no, wish her the best.
So what other outfits did you have on? I can only recall that Batman one because I was like very like that was very unique. If you were trying to grasp like the like our attention, that was like an attention grabber for sure. So that's one of the outfits that I 100% will always remember. But what other outfits do you remember what you were wearing those other days?
There was a wolf one, if I recall. That
was like I think you had was it brown wolf? I think it was.
I think so.
You had furry bottom boots. I know it wasn't boots, but it was like those maybe
they were like you would see them around in the 2010s.
In that time, everyone had those furry legging things.
Yeah. That, and I remember walking around and we saw like a white wolf and a black wolf that had like met each other. And then I just saw them from like 100 meters away and it was like, no, shut up. And I ran over to them. They were just like, oh, there was like two dudes that were clearly like, they had just met each other. Like, that's crazy. We're wolves. And then I ran over to them and they're like, we're the Wolf Bros. It was one of those EDC moments, which is just like, that's hilarious and wonderful, you know?
Fuck. And then what was your last outfit? I think you wore a onesie, but it was like a Japanese onesie, maybe. I can't remember.
What? I don't.
Was it not that?
I can't recall.
Yeah, I can't either.
That's really
I thought it was a onesie. I wasn't sure though.
That was the main costumes that I can remember.
It was like a cartoon onesie. It was like a Japanese cartoon onesie, maybe. No, I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. I can't remember. If you can't remember, I cannot remember.
I can't. Yeah. It might have. I remember like there was a lot of footage that was in just like plain street clothes.
Oh, was it? Okay. Oh, you know what? There was a footage where you guys did walk around EDC Las Vegas. You guys like walking like down the strip and you guys were like sightseeing and that kind of stuff. Yep. For me to be in the capacity to be able to walk around during EDC after EDC takes a lot of energy and stuff. Did you guys by any chance leave early just to like have extra energy? What was you guys like plans? Like, I don't know. Like, I guess, did you guys wake up late, head there late, or did you guys like just full send the whole thing and then get ready and then go sightseeing? Because like I can never seem to like sightsee during EDC because I'm just so tired from like walking around and 12 hours of raving each day.
Situation is always painful. Like that line until like 5 a.m. Sometimes it could be pretty rough. I think we were, more on a schedule that was determined by like the film crew, because it was a lot of moving pieces of like, we were originally in one hotel that I paid for, which was cheaper on my budget of my 23-year-old budget at the time. And then they were like, oh, we don't have the film rights to film in, I think, a Marriott or something. It wasn't a Marriott, but I think the Marriott's the one that they did have rights to. So they moved us to the Aria, which I think is, correct me if I'm wrong, whatever group owns the Aria, they had the rights to film within it. So they moved us over there. And I do remember like a lot of the footage just being in there, like going to eat. They followed a lot of it that didn't even, make it.
Yeah. You guys were like, you guys were like the normal, what do you call it? Tourists in the movie. 100%. It was like
good to sell Vegas too.
I will say y'all two look pretty bougie.
Yeah. It felt pretty bougie, especially like, because I paid for like a much crappier hotel and then ended up in the Aria and it looked like I was a baller, which I assure you I was not at the time, and I'm still not. But
they made you seem pretty rich in the movie. You're like, oh man, this guy's made of money coming from Tokyo. And
definitely was not if they filmed the crappier hotel, that would have been
a different. Could you imagine if you were at a Motel 6?
That's probably where we were at.
Oh shit.
Probably.
They're like, yeah, we don't have the rights to Motel 6. We're gonna have to go take you somewhere else.
They probably were lying. They were probably just like, we don't want to
go. Dude, could you imagine? Yeah, they're like, we don't want like bed bugs. We don't want that kind of story. Like,
no, it's pretty great. We definitely lucked out with that one. That was very, very kind of them to set it up. But yeah, I think that a lot of walking around Vegas, it was like a good chance for them to show. Daytime, and then it fit what they needed out of us, which was to be yuppies, just to be the safe kids.
Did you guys drink at all? Or were you guys drinking at all? At all? Or were you guys trying to just like be sober so you guys didn't like mess up the movie?
We tried to be sober. I think like once they left, then we were able to drink. Day 3, I don't think they were supposed to film like at all. So we were like planning on, just doing our own thing, but then they needed more footage on day 3, which is totally fine.
Which I'm surprised then, because like, you can't have an EDC movie without day 3. It's like you're finishing off the movie.
There was a lot of, different footage that they needed to, again, they had 12 groups to pick from. So they didn't even have to necessarily have us on day 3, or they could have reused footage of us from day 1 or day 2. when they're like talking about day 3, but
maybe when they were talking about doing day 3 is when they cut the other people and they're like, hey, we actually do need the footage because we intended on having more groups. So now the movie's like a third short.
Yeah, there was apparently a lot. I don't recall all of them, but I'm sure some of the other folks in the movie that I'm sure would love to be on the pod too. They may have more insight into, because I think they met and hung out with some of the people that got cut after the fact.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
they're not happy.
it's so funny that you mentioned the other people in the movie, because that's literally where our next topic is at. So did you like, did you know of any people that were going to be in the movie ahead of time? Like, did you guys plan to like hang out like at all? Like let's say for instance, like Nick Abarca or like the Wolfpack crew or any of them. Did you even get to like hang out with any of them?
I mean, after the fact, definitely get like hear from them now all the time.
Yeah.
Still in touch, especially like Matt and Allie. They are like our completely like family. Talk to them. I mean, even like 2 days ago, like all the time, you know. So they're
ring my mind. Matt and Allie are the
old Kandi.
Okay, this is that's
Vegas couple.
That's what I thought. And so me and Pasquale had a talk the other day. I fucking bumped into him at one of the clubs, and he invited me over to his table, and we started talking about some stuff. And one of the things he brought up was catching up with you guys, because I was like, do you catch up with any of them? Like, did you know that this is happening in their lives? Like, et cetera, et cetera. And he goes, you know what? I haven't really been keeping up with anybody except for the couple, so those two.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, like everyone's keeping up with them.
Yeah.
It's been great people.
Great. We when we went to the premiere in at Sundance in Nevada. No, not Nevada. Where's all the Mormons live? Where's
Utah.
Like we went there and
wait, you should know this. Aren't you Mormon? No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I basically look like that. If it helps me get movie deals, I'll be Mormon.
100%.
But yeah, so when we went, it was like it was maybe our first time seeing the movie. Behind us was Cascade, so he's just
shut up, man.
And he, after the show, I'm like, hey, wow, Cascade, we're such big fans, and he starts speaking Japanese to me, and I was like, what? Cascade was a Mormon missionary in Japan in like the late 90s. So he speaks Japanese. And I was like, that is crazy.
That is
that night. We didn't see him really after that. But that night, we just spent the whole time with Holly and Pasquale. And they were lovely. But Pasquale's a man of very few words. Really, as is Holly. They're very, there's so much information probably coming to a guy like that.
Oh, dude, I don't think I could even fathom like having his brain and all the things you have to do and know. And when I was talking to him, about like people in the EDM industry that are doing very good on like by his like on behalf of like Insomniac. They're doing so well. Like there are other YouTubers that are doing Insomniac videos, EDC guides, and we're a community that helps the community, right? So, and I was telling him like, did you know any of these people who are doing a thing? He doesn't know anything of like people who are into this industry. I'm like, dude, I can only imagine how much shit you have to like deal with already. That like fucking seeing me or listening to me on a podcast or listening to somebody else in the industry is like the least of your worries right now. When you got like a bunch of like, dude, this man has so many things to worry about. So he's definitely a man of few words. I definitely had the pleasure of meeting him, and I felt like maybe not sensory overload, information overload. See, I'm thinking about Nick Abarca and his whole sensory overload chamber. So that's really cool that you bumped into Cascade and stuff. Were there any other DJs there?
Not that, I mean, there may have been in Sundance. He was the only one that we really met at the premiere itself, because he was seated like right behind us. I think that was it. But yeah, that's most of what I remember. They had like this after party. I remember they had these really cool under the electric sky orange Sundance hats that we really wanted. They were really cool. They had a little pom-pom on the top. They looked fire. Awesome.
Oh man.
But the whole cast of the movie, like the whole crew of the movie, was really, really, really nice people. So I know, it was really the first time they'd done like a movie like that for Sundance. So I think they took a big risk to produce it in the first place. Obviously, being kind of made by the Insomniac folks. I mean, that was kind of a risky endeavor, but the fact that it got accepted into Sundance, I think, is proof that they made a good product. So I'm very proud of the work that they did, and that they selected us, and that they thought our story was interesting enough to include. Very grateful to the whole cast and crew.
When's the last time you've been to EDC Las Vegas?
2014, I want to say. I think.
No, if it was that far, then it was 2015.
Yeah, might be.
It's 100% 2015. I have a picture of us, so I know.
Okay, that's true. You're definitely right. We did the ones in New York a little bit, and done the one in Tokyo too, which is very different. The EDC Tokyo is very different.
So when's the last time you done the EDC Tokyo?
I did that one. The last time they did it was 2018, I want to say.
Yeah, because I have plans to. Okay, so I had plans to visit Tokyo, and then COVID hit. I literally did a GoFundMe account, and I was like, hey, if anybody wants to fund my trip to Tokyo, I really want to do like a week trip there and just visit and do all sorts of cool stuff. And I think I hit you up actually like that around that time. I was like, hey, where are you living at? Well, because I definitely wanted to link up with you at some point. And yeah, COVID hit or whatever. And one of my buddies who also lives in Tokyo, he goes, oh, well, like, we should really try to do like a festival while you're here, do like two things, at once. And definitely something I'm putting on like my bucket list. Like, okay, Tokyo EDC has to happen at some point.
Yeah. I think and that's really cool. You definitely should make a trip to Tokyo, whether it's for a music festival or just visiting Japan. I think there's never been a better time. Once this is all over, once the vaccinations are underway and everything, we're a bit behind compared to the US. But once that is better, and you won't have to do a 2-week quarantine when you come to Japan, it will 100% be worth it. There's a lot of festivals that are happening, really smaller ones right now.
So you guys over there, are you guys over there? You guys are what's your COVID restrictions, I guess, right now where you're at?
So it's there's no mask mandate, nor is there like places that require you to show proof of vaccine, just because a lot of my friends still can't even get a vaccine appointment. We're still like 60% vaccinated in an aging population of 126 million people. Folks that are 30-ish, they're just lower on the totem pole to get a vaccine at all. The supply is much lower. But the festival themselves, I've been to several because I'm double vaxxed. The festivals themselves, they don't serve alcohol right now. They're fully mask compliant. Everything is pretty socially distanced. There's no talking allowed. When I'm seeing videos of like Lollapalooza or these shows in the UK, and it's like, where the hell is the masks at? I'm like, I actually kind of like the mask thing is nice. Like, there's no shoving. Everybody's really polite at the shows. Yes. It's really nice, actually. Like, if it stayed like this,
it's rough, man. Because like I know we want to have shows back, and like wearing a mask is a part of that. And most shows I put down, come in with a mask staying on your face is like recommended, and it would be highly encouraged. But once you get there, I'm huge on wearing a mask, but there comes a time and a place where it's just too hot. And I physically can't breathe because my breath is steaming right now. I'm like, dude, I know. Can... So
yeah, I mean, I will say, like, even in Japan, like a festival I went to this past weekend is called Global Arc. That was probably 3,000 people. It's kind of a medium size, and all of the foreign people will take off the masks. The Japanese ones keep them on, and I'm like, I want to fit in. I'm gonna keep the mask on so that the Japanese people respect me. Like, when you're in a different country, you represent wherever you come from, right? So I want anybody who meets me to have a good representation of American people.
Right.
So I always try to respect the local customs. In that regard, there's more of a, if I was in the US, maybe I would be more laissez-faire about it. But the fact that I'm here, and I don't want anybody to take a negative view of American people through an interaction with me, I feel like I'm an ambassador in that regard, that I like need to be a good one. So they're like, oh, I like Americans. Remember that one movie? It was good. Oh, Americans are good. Like, I always want them to have a favorable impression of our country too. So that you just in not just masks, but in everything in Japan, you're hyper alert and hyper aware that people are judging not just you, but what you stand for in their mind. So that's, usually why we do that stuff.
And we talked before we started the podcast, is that like I went to Germany just recently, just got back literally 6 hours ago. And which is like funny because I wasn't, when we scheduled this podcast to record, I was like, okay, hopefully I don't miss like my flight, because I definitely want to get this podcast like out ASAP. I have the way my recordings go. I want you to be like next on the list, and I don't want to like hold off on like how long I've been recording you and stuff like that. So I don't want to like make it last longer or whatever. But yeah, I came back from Germany, and I don't know if it's just me. Maybe it is just me, but I feel really awkward not knowing like I guess Dutch over there. Not being able to speak the language, like read it. Thank God Germans, every sign is like normally it has like below, it has like English, because it's very prominent over there. So English is almost like, it's like 100% like their second language, right? So I could go somewhere and speak English, and for the most part, I'd be okay. But there were situations where I was lost. I took a train to Berlin, which was a total of 12-hour trip, 10 to 12-hour trip between all the layovers between trains and stuff, and me not knowing where the hell I'm going and trying to look for information and ask people what these signs mean. And I had a little Google Translate thing, but I didn't buy any internet. So I had like the local internet that you get from like your phone, but that only lasts you for 0.5 gigabytes, which is nothing. So I only used it during emergencies, and then I connected the Wi-Fi when I was inside of the train. So there was like a slight fear of like, not what is a fear? It's it starts with a V, vulnerability. There's a little bit of like vulnerability when you aren't able to communicate. And there was a time I literally like almost shed tears because I had accidentally taken a train to a different city that I didn't know I was going to take to. And I'm just literally at this point, like, when am I going to get back to the hotel? Like, when is it? Because I've spent all day on the train and I'm farther than I was when I started. I'm almost to Poland. Why can't I just go back to my hotel? And it must be nice. You speak Japanese, so you feel very comfortable, like where you're at and stuff like that. But like going solo to a country, which is what I did, is very hard to do because you have nobody to talk to about it. It's misery loves company, right? And me not being able to be miserable with my friends makes it a lot harder.
Hey Siri, stop. It just started playing a song called Misery Loves Company.
Shut up.
I apologize for that.
That's funny.
Hey Siri, stop all music.
Stuffing everywhere.
Sorry.
You're good, brother. And there comes like, that vulnerability with like not being able to speak and stuff. So I'm like very jealous that, you live in it's like almost like a foreign country. I guess not really to you if you lived there like half your life technically. So
I mean, you definitely like it's so much your experience, I think, on like the train, like living in any foreign place, you just become more, you accept not understanding things. Like I was out to eat the other day and they were explaining different types of meat. And I was just like, oh, let's get that one. And the person I was with didn't speak Japanese. Was like, oh, what is that? And I was like, I don't know. And I was like, I don't know. I'm sure it'll be fine though. But they were like, no, we should find out what it is. And I was like, do we really need it? It's probably good. I would have never thought like that in the US, but like we brought the waiter back and he was like, oh, that's like a loin. It's like the butt of the cow. And I was like, well, of course I don't know that word. Like was rump, it was like, but the Japanese word for like rump of like a beef.
Yeah.
Like, of course when would that have come up in my Japanese lessons? Even now.
Dude,
when would I have learned that word?
I went to a kebab restaurant, right? And I wanted the chicken kebab. And I accidentally ordered the lamb kebab. And I was like, fuck, I've never had lamb and I don't want my first lamb experience to be a kebab.
Yeah.
So I just like threw the whole thing away and I was like, it didn't smell good or whatever. I just wanted the chicken kebab. It's what I wanted. I didn't know how to translate that in whatever language that was. I don't know where they come from. Turkey, maybe? I don't know where they come. But same thing happened in another restaurant. I went to a German restaurant and I just wanted a freaking cheeseburger. I want something that I wanted a hamburger, something that I knew, right? I'm like, okay, I can't go wrong with a hamburger. I'm like, all that was on there was a cheeseburger. So I said, oh, can I get a cheeseburger with no cheddar queso? And they're like, a what? Cheddar queso? Huh? I'm like, I want the cheeseburger with no cheese. Can somebody translate?
Yeah.
They're like, I just want. They're like, oh, you want a hamburger? I'm like, yeah, but it's not on the menu. So I'm trying to like tell it was on the menu and then delete what I don't want.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to have help from the locals to like communicate with me, and I'm like, those situations, I don't know what they do to me, but they make me more shy for the next encounter, and I don't want to go to like a restaurant where they don't speak English. And it's like it just. So after that, I just kept eating Burger King, where I just ordered my own meal. But let me tell you about, I don't know how it is in Japan, but in Germany, fast food restaurants are cuisine. Like they are so good. Like those burgers were top-notch burgers, seasoned differently, different like patties. The buns were buttered up and different, had like romaine lettuce, and it was a pretty good hamburger. I'm not gonna lie. Like they know how to do like their KFC's everything is different. Like if you go to Germany, fast food is not fast food over there. It is like you sit down, you get a number, they bring you your plate, and it's just like wow.
I think the same in Japan too. Like a lot of the restaurants that we import there have they're more of a premium view. Like, I mean, KFC is traditionally what people eat on Christmas in Japan. So you can't get KFC because they're fully booked out for orders. It's like what people eat on Christmas.
Wow.
So, there's a lot of, like American fast food brands that are just seen it, like Taco Bell, you don't see very often, but it is like, it's nicer. Like they're really clean and they're seen more like a Chipotle here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I think that they raise the prices too. So, I mean, you have to spend.
Oh yeah. Honestly, in order to pay your employees and all that stuff. And like, I mean, the employees are getting paid way better than probably the US people are getting paid. But talk to me about the EDC scene or EDM scene in Japan. How prominent is that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say like it's gone through a couple iterations. Like in 2013, Japan used to be about, like, I would say 2 to 3 years behind the rest of the world in terms of like the type of electronic music that they were listening to. So like in 2012, they were still listening to, things that were, popular more, like LMFAO type stuff in like 2009. In, 2016, they were really into future house when we had moved as a culture in the US to more, slower Oliver Heldens type stuff. And then, now they're starting to catch up because you never used to see foreign artists even coming to Japan. There wasn't many clubs that they could even play at. There have been a lot that's opened, but more recently, a lot that have closed. The biggest in Asia is called Ageha. It's like 5 dance floors. It's a massive, massive club and beautiful, but they just announced that they're closing after like 20 years, just the COVID environment. And things have been very slow to reopen. So that's moved a lot of, the scene for slightly older folks, people in their late 20s, early 30s and beyond, to more camping festivals. So in the woods, a capacity of like 75, 150 people. And then you get the homegrown DJs. And we have a lot of them. DJ Nobu is more of like a techno guy, but he's, legendary throughout Europe. He's always playing in Germany. DJ Crush, Ken Ishii. You get all these guys who, more in the techno side of it.
Is that your genre, or what's your genre? Like, I mean, don't say like all of it. Like sometimes you listen to something more than others.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like when I play a lot in Japan, I would say I do more disco more than anything these days, just because that was a niche, I think, that I wasn't hearing a lot that I always wanted, whereas everybody else was playing techno. Like that's, to be honest, it's a little bit inundating. It's a little too much minimal techno in Japan, which is getting pretty fucking boring.
Is there any bass in Japan?
There's a younger group here called Arank that they're a collective of like 13 or 14 like international Asian American or Japanese American folks, English speaking Japanese people that produce more bass type music, and they're really cool. So there's definitely scenes like that as well. That's probably more of a reflection of my friend group's taste than Japan in general. I shouldn't generalize that's just the age. You get a lot of people in their mid.
you're like the Asians in my group.
Yeah, I mean that's the generalization that Japan has too much techno is probably just more a reflection of the stage in life that all my friends are at in their mid 30s. But it's not all bad. So there's definitely a mix for everybody depending. And once I think the borders open and they can get artists again, that like there is still scheduled an event that's supposed to have Kygo, I think like Marshmallow, Steve Aoki, like bigger name people. There's no way that it's going to happen. They can't. The borders are closed, and they're supposed to happen on September 18. But those are the artists that do well with, I would say, the masses, the Kygos of the world.
Yeah, the mainstream like music and stuff. So yeah, and like in the US, there's a couple festivals that are actually closing because like the events are like not able to find like a location because locations are canceling like all events and because that whole Delta variant or whatever. So right now we're in a switch in the US. Every festival to including like EDC and stuff. Pasquale just put out a notification like you have to have a vaccine card or 72 hours of proof of like a COVID test. So like that's literally almost every festival. That's like the movement right now. Every festival is doing that.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, every festival is doing it. The one that I'm going to ARC Music Festival in Chicago. No, I'm not ARC. I was gonna go to ARC. ARC is a house techno event. I'm going to North Coast Music Festival. It's in Chicago. It's like very like diverse. It's got your bass, techno, house, rhythm and stuff. They just put out a notice like literally 4 days ago. And everyone's like, oh God, like I gotta get my COVID test, like, or oh God, I gotta get my vaccine card or whatever. But that's on them. I got back. Are you vaccinated?
Yeah, I finally got my second dose
of
Pfizer.
Boosh. You're so booshed.
I had to call 18 places to find Moderna. This is terrible. There's some contaminated doses of Moderna in Japan that had trace bits of rubber in them. So that is stalling the effort.
What?
Much more difficult. Man. I don't want to speak bad about any vaccines because
you really don't.
Everyone to get vaccinated. They are largely the way that we are going to get out of this. So I'm like,
watch. They're gonna use this footage as like, oh look what I heard. This is why
it's the last thing Japan needed was after the Olympics and we're hitting new daily records of new cases and I felt like we were in a little bubble in Japan. I was so lucky that for all this time because I didn't know anybody.
We had withdrawals of a vaccine too. I don't know if you heard, but like our Johnson & Johnson vaccine got removed from like 5 different states, and it was like, and they put like a fear of like, oh, dude, like Johnson & Johnson just isn't like a reliable vaccine, but people are still getting the Johnson & Johnson. Like, okay, did they fix what was wrong? Maybe it was just those batches, like. Where are we at on that? But people are very trustworthy with the Johnson & Johnson. And I think a lot of festivals are pushing vaccines. So then like people are like, oh, if I do Johnson & Johnson, I'm good now. I don't have to get the second shot. It's a one-shot vaccine. So I just don't really I don't know.
Any vaccine is better than no vaccine.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
If whatever we can do to get back to the thing that we love doing, which is discovering live music, if that means that, people if they're afraid of a vaccine, I hope that they wouldn't be. And I hope that they would get any vaccine, including a Sinovac or a Sputnik or an AstraZeneca, anything.
AstraZeneca, he said.
To our Australian brothers and sisters out there.
Oh, Lord.
But anything that'll work to get us, back, if it's, showing proof of vaccination or, the vaccine card, like anything to get us back is the way to go, so we don't have to do another year of this.
Let's change topics so we don't get too caught up in politics. So you DJ, right?
I do.
And you said you DJ mostly disco, or you listen? Yeah.
I started in 2009 and was doing more like hip hop at the time. But then moved more recently into mostly tech house.
Okay.
So playing at a couple places, C'est La Vie nightclub in Japan. There's the big one in Singapore, which is on the top of the Marina Bay Sands, but they opened one here. Vision, which is probably one of my favorite clubs here.
And you play at all these clubs?
Yep.
So how much do they pay you for like a
not a lot? Let me tell you, the way that the pay structure in Japan works is so there's the DJs are a dime a dozen. You get basically paid on how many people that you bring, which is not the reason to get into DJing. I mean, I spend more on Beatport than I do on getting paid for. So that's definitely not why I do it. But it's for the love of playing music and being in those environments too. It's been so long. Even now it's still too dangerous, I would say, to perform in like an indoor club. I think would be stupid. But hopefully we'll get back to a place soon where we're as safe as it seems America is getting back to.
What's your DJ name?
Daywalk, which was a name given to me by a kid based on, remember the movie Blade? Remember the Daywalker?
Daywalker, yeah.
Vampire. And a Daywalker is also a derogatory term for a ginger that doesn't get freckles.
Shut up.
So my friend's like, you should just be DJ Daywalk. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to do that. That's it. Like, game over, man. That's the one. And stuck with that. But it's been good. I played B2B with a couple guys. I was in like basically like a trap duo, like maybe 8 years ago with my buddy Tim. And then I've also played tech house with a guy here in Japan as well, but mostly, on my own, left to my own devices, I'll go more the disco route, I would say. These are new disco.
Yeah. Did you ever do you ever think you're gonna be playing at a festival one day?
I will be playing a small one in the end of September called Earth Festival.
In Japan?
In Japan, one of the ones in the woods, that's basically what we've been doing. It's just been DIY events where basically setting up like a tent, a sound system, and then
that's how we got started here. So people were trying to like start festivals going on. So there were a couple underground events that were happening, but those were more like rave type, like they were called renegades. So we had a couple of renegades here in the US where it was like outdoorsy. People had like their tents and stuff. They had one stage and it was like a small like outdoorsy rave, right? When things started to open, people they weren't canceling festivals. There was there's a company called Synchro Events, which it's funny, I have them coming on the podcast next week. They hosted the first technically like festival. It was an outdoorsy woods, like 3-stage festival. Technically it was small, but it was technically like the first legit festival that they had. And that's where we started. When we first had our first festival, it was Ubby Dubby. And honestly, we were all afraid they were going to cancel it. Like, we were afraid, like, dude, this is either make it or break it, because Pasquale was supposed to have the first rave happen in Orlando. And I think the rave gods were not content because they threw thunder, lightning, and wind at us. And we had to literally stop the event. I get stranded in Florida because of the hurricane, some weird monsoon thing happening. I don't know. And so I was stuck in Orlando and we made the best of it. But that was, getting started with festivals and raves and stuff. That was a hard thing to do even in the US. So like, I mean, when they'll come when they come and stuff.
That's any way to get like us back to like, whether it's these like a smaller event like that, that's pretty cool. Hopefully, the weather complies too, but it sounds like you did all the right things to at least, make it happen.
Yeah. So the guys that were also in the EDC movie, you said that you met a bunch of them later on. Are there any particular that like you're still friends with?
I would say definitely Matt and Allie would be probably the closest. From the Rave family, I would say Jake.
Because I know Jake went to visit you, right? Didn't he go like New York when you were like in New York and stuff? And like I definitely saw a picture of you too. That was
he
cool.
always looks like he's doing great. As is Rob from the Rave family.
Yep.
Still keep up with him to a degree. We never met the guys from Connecticut, the Wolfpack guys. We never really got to connect with them so much. I think one of them was on like an MTV show though.
I did not see that, so I'm kind of curious as to who you're talking about now. So
he was on a reality show.
So do you know that guy that got stuck at EDC Las Vegas? He was wandering around EDC Las Vegas, and the Wolfpack squad ended up going to the RV without him, and they waited for him in that movie, and he finally found his way after like I think like 2 hours of like walking around. Well, I have been climbing in like my content creation game and evolving within the community. I joined this like community group for EDC Orlando. It was like for this resort for ravers that we were going to. One of the guys on there shared this photo of, you know, the Rave fam doing some BTSM shit, right? You know what they're always doing.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, like that's Nick Abarca and his girlfriend at the time, you know. I was like, the hell, wife now. Yeah. And then he goes, yeah, like I know them and stuff. Like, no, like I like live in the same city as them. Like I know them. And I'm like, how do you know them? Right. And then he tells me like he was in the movie, this and this. Like, wait a minute, you're the dude that got lost.
That's amazing. Is he the DJ one?
He's the DJ one. Yeah.
Yes. I remember him. That's so funny.
It's such a small world, right? It's just like meeting. I think it's funny. One thing I was telling Pasquale is like I met a bunch of you guys that were like cast in the movie at different times. It was so weird. Like Nick Abarca and stuff like that. Like we lived in the same town. I met at EDC. Jose Perez, the guy with the wheelchair, you know, met him in San Diego.
Have you talked to Jose recently? How's he doing?
I haven't talked to Jose. I do like every once in a while go on his like Facebook, see how he's doing and stuff. I know he does a lot with like his legs and whatnot. So I haven't really talked to him though. Honestly, I haven't really kept up with my Facebook even at that. I've been so busy with everything. It's hitting me pretty hard. Going to Germany, podcasting, YouTubing, going to festivals, being this content creator and evolving into this icon. And who else? So I think I kept up with you more years ago. And I think there's been this gap where I just haven't been keeping up with anyone to include you and stuff like that. But I definitely every once in a while see like your pictures and stuff, like when you post like you DJing or you post doing some things with like your friends. Who else have I kept up with? I think that's it for the Wolfpack. It was just Lou. I never got to meet that girl, and I never got to meet Allie and Matt. So
you should definitely reach out to them. They're wonderful people, and they would love to be on the pod. They're super nice.
Are they on Instagram?
Yeah, I think I think their tag is Old Candy with an I.
Okay. Yeah. Man, their kids got to be like what 20?
Yeah, they're and they're both successful. Like when we visited, like their son is on he was in one of the plays in Vegas, like one of the stage shows.
Yeah.
Both really, really great kids. They always open their home to us whenever we visited Vegas. So like massive debt of gratitude to them, and they make the effort. Like, I'm always, busy doing 1,000 things, but like Matt especially like always takes time just to like send me random memes or basic messages. So definitely feel a strong, family bond with them.
I think that's got to be like just who they are. Like it's just great personality because of the matter of the fact that like, Pasquale like mentioned them, like when we were talking like, oh, do you keep up with them? And he was like, yeah, I keep up with them. And I'm like, oh shoot, like man, these guys keep up with everybody.
They're great. Honestly, you should definitely like. I'm like 100% meet them. I'm happy to intro you as well. But they're really lovely people.
Yeah, definitely. I'll look them up. I'll probably DM you and be like, hey, dude, like, can you send me a profile and stuff? And I'll hit them up and see maybe they want to come in the podcast and we could chat about their side of the story on how EDC went and stuff like that.
For sure.
Your side was very interesting for sure. I definitely love talking to you. Definitely love catching up with you. I don't think we've ever sat down and talked ever. I think we've messaged a lot. I definitely talked to you a lot during EDC times. I think mostly we just message each other, and it has been just a pleasure just getting to sit down, talk to you, get to know you, get to know your side of the story, see how you've been keeping up. It's been so great. So I want to thank you for that.
Yeah, you too. I'm very happy to see the growth of your pod and the work that you're going to be doing from here too. Like that's extremely exciting. So happy to be a small part of one brick in the castle.
Oh man, you're sweet. I cannot wait for the day I go to EDC Tokyo or EDC Japan. Is it in Tokyo?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm gonna hit you up, man. We're gonna party.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll hold you to that.
So before we end this podcast, man, I would love it if you would tell the people listening where they could find you. Is there like, do you have like a DJ account? Do you have a personal account? Is there anywhere that they could find you and befriend you or follow you?
Sure. Yeah, I guess really just one social, like probably Instagram. It's Jim Daywalk. So JimDaywalk. It's my basically like for both DJing and personal, but that would probably be the place.
Okay, guys, this has been the episode with Jim, where he talked about basically where he's at after the EDC movie Under Electric Sky. And Jim, I'm very happy that you got to come. Love chatting with you, and until the next one.